we've had weekends where we've grossed $6,000.
Anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000.
This year, right now, it's like 48.
I think we made $5,000 in a day one time.
Do you have 3 tips of advice for other entrepreneurs?
Number one, I would say for entrepreneurs, if you don't own a business, you've never started one, ask yourself why. Truly ask that. And be real about it. Is it financial freedom? Is it because you don't want to have a boss tell you what to do? You want to do what you want, when you want, whenever you want? Do you think it honestly just sounds cool? Some people really think it sounds cool. Like, I'm an entrepreneur and a boss. That's totally fine. But I would just say before you even do it, figure out exactly why you want to do it. For me, it was freedom. It's financial freedom. It's also freedom to do what I want, when I want. I'm sure you get some of the same perks and benefits and you probably love that aspect. So for me, it was freedom. And I would just say be really, really honest with yourself, because it's not that glamorous. It is a lot of hard work. There is a lot of ups and downs. And I would say tip number 2 is you have to deal with stress very well. You have to be the person in entrepreneurship, if you're starting a business and a business owner, I would say somewhat competitive. I would say, resilient for sure, because you're gonna have a lot of hard days. And if you're kind of the person who doesn't take stress well, or you shut down or lash out, any of those extremes, you may not do as well. You might do fine, but it's very stressful, so you have to learn that. And number 3, I would say, it's like, oh, what are the good things? I will say this, how about this, a good thing? If you get it going and you're somewhat successful, it's very cool to basically be like, hey, I'm taking off a week of work whenever you want. You can kind of short-term plan it. You don't have to ask for PTO. If you have employees, you have a team, you're gonna have to tell them. If you have clients, you're gonna have to give them a heads up, but you still have that freedom to do that. So that is actually a perk and pretty fun, but it is nonstop. I remember my first vacation, basically we got kicked out of our first office. It was during Thanksgiving. It was a crazy story for another time. So you're always gonna be on, understand that. It's a never-ending job, but if you love it and you're successful, you're gonna be very fulfilled.
Hard work is probably the number 1 trait. It's one thing that can set you apart from anybody else. Sometimes, our circumstances of where we are at are out of our control. So control what you can control, and controlling your effort and the hard work. Number 2, it's not cliche. Starting a business up is difficult. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's peaks and valleys from an emotion perspective, from a workload perspective, but just staying focused and like nose to the grindstone and blocking out the outside distractions, that other people may be putting on. Why are you doing this? That type of thing, putting that shadow of doubt. And then 3rd advice to give to an entrepreneur, to not give up. There's always going to be hurdles, and even in life, it's never easy. And so being in business is not easy. So you have to live off the little wins. So if you're starting up a company and you get 1 lead or 1 prospect or 1 sale, build off that. Now make it 2. Now make it 3. You're not going to get to your grand vision or to your grand goals without taking little steps along the way and planning those steps, being detailed, trying to follow that plan as best as you can, and knowing that your plan can mold and change. And so if things do change, the market changes or products change or supply chain issues, things are out of your control, being ready and able to adapt for those situations.
I would say I would highly recommend that you identify and know your market. Every entrepreneur, no matter what the idea is, thinks it's the best idea around. And it might be, but it might not be the best idea for the area that you're in. It might be a great idea in a different market. So do your research, right? Know your market. Definitely do a deep dive into that. The next is know your barriers of entry. Not all of them are financial. Everyone assumes that, you need a ton of money to open up a business. Sometimes you don't need that much money, but there are other barriers of entry. So identify what those are. It might be equipment as opposed to financing. It might be employees as opposed to equipment or financing. But if you don't have those lined up and you don't know what those barriers are for you to start, then you're not going to be able to start. The 3rd thing is talk to a mentor at least once a week, and they don't even need to know that they are your mentor. Pick their brain. Someone who's smarter than you, someone who's dumber than you. You can learn from both. Know exactly kind of what you're looking for in the area, in your market, in your demographic. There are people out there, if you want to start a business, who will invest into you if you have no money, as long as you're willing to work right? Sweat equity, work ethic, like Mike was saying. That's one of the biggest barriers of entry. If you want to open a business, but you can't work, you don't know the work ethic or getting up in the morning and realizing that it's no matter what it is, it's customer service number one, then you need to prioritize and readjust.
Research what you want to do, look at your competition, get yourself ready, but don't be afraid to just pull the trigger and do it. Don't wait till everything is right, because it'll never be right. Just do it and clean up the mess as you go, or you'll never get started. So many people say, you know, if I only would have this, if I only would have that. Well, they wanted to, but they were just waiting for the right this or that. It's never going to be right. Just step out and do what you want to do.
My number one tip, don't go cheap with your equipment. My second advice is what I did is I've always ran my company as if I already had a team. When it was just me, I've always said we, you know, when I speak. If somebody messaged us on Facebook, I've always said, how can we help you? Or we'll send a technician out, you know, later today. But it was just me. My last bit of advice is don't be in it. You know, yes, the money is, that's why we're in it. We want to make money, but that shouldn't be the biggest factor in starting a business. You know, you need to do something that you love and have integrity in what you do. Just keep your name good, you know, because one small thing can ruin you. You can do a million things right and then you do one thing wrong and it's just, you know, your business can go down the drain.
Don't be scared. Like, don't be scared to try something. There are definitely ways to try and see if something is going to work without a huge investment. Because I think that's what scares a lot of entrepreneurs, is not knowing how it's going to work and if people are going to catch on to it. And a lot of times there might be a huge upfront cost and investment into that. But I think there are ways to slowly kind of dip your toes in the water and try something out without putting a huge investment into something. And maybe that's not for every business, but I think if you really want it and you have a heart for it and you truly believe like there's a market for it and that people want that, you shouldn't let anything stop you. So that, I think that's the number one thing, because also, like, again, if you don't have that huge investment in it, you have nothing to lose. Like, you know, you're meeting new people and you're getting the word out there, and you've also learned a ton from the day that you decided, like, I'm gonna run my own business, till maybe later down the road you say, it's not for me. That's okay, because all that in between has led you to so many different opportunities and experiences and has made you grow as a person. So it is super important. I shouldn't say don't be scared. It's okay to be scared, but I would say push through that fear and make it a priority, because you'll regret it if you don't. Be reliable. Make sure that if you really want to do this, make sure that you are going to give it your all, like give it your 100%, because if you don't, that's a crack for not succeeding how you thought in your mind. So being reliable and being present and being communicative, and like, you genuinely need to want to get to know your clients, like get to know who you're dealing with, and make sure who you're going to deal with and involved in your business, make sure those people fit your business, make sure you fit with what they're looking for. It's a two-way street between clients and business owners, and making sure that it's a cohesive, positive fit for everybody.
It's all about the hustle that you have. You have to have the dedication. You have to be disciplined too, because any type of job where you're your own boss, you have to have that discipline to wake up in the morning, take a shower, strap on them boots, and get out there and work.
It doesn't just stop at, okay, I purchased the equipment, I got my LLC, now let's wait for the millions to start landing in our lap. It don't work like that. A lot of people don't know this, but we're out of the house at 7, and last night I didn't get in my door till 10:15. After bins, we go do washing, fleet washing. I'm constantly working so that way the cash flow doesn't stop coming in, so our business can survive. We're a small company. You know, we're compared to a big company that's recognized, like McDonald's. If I was in the food chain industry, I'd have to work really hard at it, because I got McDonald's 2 blocks away from me, you know? It doesn't stop there. So with that being said, you know, don't stop, don't give up, be persistent, and just keep on going. A lot of businesses fail. We're 2.5 years old. A year into it, I knew we weren't gonna fail. I was already convinced, and that was part of the reason why we didn't purchase a truck, because I didn't want to spend the extra 100 grand on a truck until we knew we were gonna be good. But 8 months into it, I was like, man, I think we're gonna be good.
When people ask me for tips about starting their own window cleaning power washing company, is don't quit your day job. I started off moonlighting, doing stuff on the weekends. So by the time I started my own company, I had a decent client list already. Number 2 would be, don't just go out from YouTube, get out there to a convention, work with another power washing company or some professional to really learn the trade. 3 is invest in the best equipment that you can get. I mean, sometimes you gotta buy what you can afford, and then sometimes you can buy the best with the warranties on it. So, you know, you definitely have to make a decision, but in the long run, it's gonna be better to buy the better equipment.
Just stay calm, just work the process, and just make sure your customers are happy, and just be happy with your work. You just love what you do. You can't just go into something that you don't love to do. If you're going into something you don't love to do and you're starting a business and you invest a lot of money into it and you don't even like to do it, it's not really worth your time. So I would just say the biggest thing, you really want to love what you do.